This video is brought to you by Redneck Engineer, custom-built gaming PCs and parts for an affordable price. Use code joshscorcher at checkout for a 5% discount. And make sure you don't have any coupon clipping extensions like Honey installed or I don't get my commission. Thank you!
We gamers really are obsessed with lore, aren't we? So many videos and entire channels dedicate themselves to discovering and dissecting the hidden details of games. Insert FNAF joke here. And one of the most popular types is the creepy stuff. The darkness hiding just out of view. First off, no fan theories. These have to be canon, or at least heavily implied as such. 2, this is hidden lore. If it's something that's just normally revealed to you by playing, it doesn't count. As we've done with the surprisingly creepy lists, more points will be awarded for higher contrast between the lightness of the game and the creepiness of the lore.
Doctor, I'm afraid of backstories. When did this all start? Well,
Backstories can be traumatizing. Take our not-so-heroic protagonist, Travis Touchdown. The whole reason he became an assassin in the first place was because someone killed his parents right in front of him. The killer in question, the current high-ranking assassin, Jean. But why? What's her story, and why would she put Travis through all this? Well, in her exact words, her backstory is so horrific that hearing it in full would jack up the game's age rating. Their solution?
You are my half-brother. You know that manga called Miyuki? The Japanese one? Well, it's like that. Your father abandoned my mother to run off with your mother.
Yeah, I didn't edit that. They actually fast-forward through the whole dang thing. You only catch a brief semblance of the story, and the only coherent takeaway is that Jean and Travis are half-siblings. Well, joke's on them, because I found a slowed-down version of her speech that'll give me a clear rundown of what she's been through. How bad could it be? Oh! When she said her backstory would jack up the age rating, she undersold it. Turns out Travis is Jean's half-brother, and his father ruined her life in the worst ways. To start, he broke her mother's heart and left with Travis's mom, leaving Jean's mom to take her own life. Jean ended up in his care, and yeah, imagine the grossest, most despicable thing a father can do to a child, and multiply that times 10. And that's her life. Just to keep the ick going, she had to pay for her assassin training with her body. But to her, it was a necessary stepping stone on her quest for revenge. Yeah, it's no wonder she snapped. The fact that Travis's dad abused her to this degree, all while putting on a nice guy routine for Travis, is nothing short of disgusting. However, like Travis himself said, vengeance begets vengeance. And in a twisted sense, two half-siblings created each other. Jean just got ahead of the curve. Apparently, there were plans to make Jean's Travis X as well, but Suda didn't exactly plan it out thoroughly enough. But if that had been the case, then that would have been a new can of worms entirely. Suda, you weird alien man. Dear Hollow Knight backer Lisa Kretschmar and or developers at Team Cherry, what the fuck? In everyone's favorite bug indie game, probably, there are several bosses known as Dream Warriors, glorious fighters of Hallowness Past created by high-tier backers of the game. We're not sure how much of the lore itself was written or suggested by the backers, but either way, someone woke up one day and created the story of No Eyes. Upon first glance of No Eyes, she has... Okay, I want you to take a wild guess at what you'll notice about No Eyes. Go on. There you go. So how in the reverse Coraline did that happen? Well, plenty of random enemies in the game are also walking eye sockets, and No Eyes herself is a ghost. She may just be a skeleton or a normal bug corpse, and those streaks down her eyes? Surely those are tears, right? Right? Well, all those lovely ghosts with similarly ocular absent features that No Eyes sings to are the ghosts of her children. When the Radiance's infection struck Hallowness, No Eyes could not sleep. Her children began to become infected.
My Child, can you still see? Please, don't hurt me. Can't sleep with your eyes open, little one. Can't dream if you're still breathing, little one. Precious children, you speak such loathsome things as you sleep. Your claws scratch and scrape. Precious children, a monster has come for us in the dark. Will you sing for me?
So, those streaks aren't tears. That's blood from ripping her eyes out. In order to avoid seeing the plague and becoming vulnerable to its effects, she tore her eyes out to sleep no more. Oh, and she did it to her children, too! Mother's love!
I'm sorry. I was frightened of you. You were always protecting us, even when we couldn't see you. Take us there, please. A place where light cannot haunt us. A place without dreams. Please.
You know, the other Dream Warriors might be a little tragic, but most of them are pretty typical and sentimental ghosts. Markoth ironically gives you a very inspirational quote in his Hunter's Journal entry. Yeah, right. But no eyes? They're coming. What's inside of you, strip it out. The infection is so vicious that No Eyes would rather claw her eyes out and that of her children, and then die, than face what was brought on by the Plague of Light. You heard her. Strip them out. This entry would be higher, but the lore isn't that hidden. It's technically a bit vague, but a lot of that dialogue is shown before and after her fight. Although you can go the entire game without really facing any of the Dream Warriors, so if your journey misses a spot in Fog Canyon, then, well, no eyeball torture lore for you. Speaking of the sleeplessness... It seems that since the dawn of YouTube countdowns, anytime the topic of creepiness is ranked, there's always a special seat in reserve just for the king. But Mr. Scorcher, this is Creepiest Hidden Lore. Majora's Mask is rarely usurped from being the ultimate abomination under the facade of an E rating, but it's also talked about a lot. What else is left? I mean, we have Majora, Ikana, the Mass Transformations, the Aliens, Moon and the Well, the Happy Mass Salesman, the whole frickin' soundtrack, The World Ends When You Hear the Bells, there's Redeads and Gindas, the Butler Said Son and been drowned but his body is intact, the Gamer's Stages of Grief, and then there's the All-Night Mask! How is it that of all the endless videos talking about the horrors of Zelda, this thing has somehow avoided almost all discussion? The All-Night Mask is pure facial terror. To avoid 99% of the mainstream scary Majora's Mask discussion online is to already be hidden enough by the typical contenders. The appearance of Majora's Mask itself is mildly creepy, but this is not that far behind. A feat that is hard to come by. The All-Night Mask is one that allows the player to, for better or worse, stay awake as long as it is worn. An ancient relic that was a torture device for insomnia. What? Yeah, and when you wear this abominable blooper FNAF animatronic-looking thing, you can visually see how it functioned in the old days. It pries Link's eyes open with presumably metal and forces the rest of his face in a certain position to ensure he will never sleep. You can see Link torture himself to utilize the effects of the mask as his eyes turn bloodshot red. This lore is hidden until you realize it's hidden in plain sight. All right, one or two sentences of canonical lore. A bit cryptic, innit? Here's the thing. Of all the masks you obtain in the game, the acquisition of the All-Night Mask dubiously makes the least sense. Even in some of the scarier moments of the game, like with defending Romani from them and helping Pamela's father from the Gibdo curse, it does make sense that you'd get the Romani and Gibdo masks respectively. But, why does the random NPC who runs the Curiosity Shop have an ancient torture device? And for how much? 500 rupees? In this economy? It's worth noting that even the Happy Mask salesman himself recognizes its unusually high value.
That's the all-night mask, isn't it? That looks like an expensive mask. Maybe you should have bought the cardboard version instead?
Perhaps this value comes from the mask very likely being an ancient relic. An ancient relic that very likely came out of Ikana Canyon, which needs no introduction. Putting such a high price on an old torture device is crazy sadistic. Who the f*** collects these things? Well, considering it only shows up in the shop once you stop Seiken from stealing the bombs from the lady, yeah, that's starting to make sense. Next time you boot up Majora's Mask, take a moment to appreciate the lesser-known details of the game. You might just find something that keeps you from sleeping. Or you just drink Baja Blast as the Lord intended. Hiding things becomes far easier when you're making something as expansive as a Rockstar game. Oh yeah, GTA gives you a massive playground to mess around in, destroying things to your heart's content. But the corners of those games can hide some horrifying secrets. Cults, ancient prophecies, ghosts, aliens, serial killers. So many of Rockstar's games have entire icebergs worth of mysteries scattered across the cities, it's hard to even count them. Go into the Old West, however, and we meet Rockstar's most enigmatic figure, Red Dead Redemption's Strange Man. In the first game, you meet him in the side mission chain, and this guy is already sketchy beyond belief. A mysterious stranger in a dapper suit testing John Marston's morality, knowing way more than he should about John's past. What's strange, is he never tells John exactly what path to take. He just tells John to check on people, and whether you act morally or not, he'll know and find it interesting. In the final meeting, John has had enough of his cryptic nonsense and tries shooting him, only for the bullets to completely phase through him. And the spot you meet him, where he makes sure to comment on, it becomes the site of John's grave. Of course, this guy has supernatural written all over him, with theories ranging from him being God, the devil, or the Grim Reaper himself. And when Red Dead 2 came out, well, you didn't think Rockstar would forget to invite him along now, did you? And here he's even more enigmatic. You don't meet him directly, but you can find his cabin with ominous messages and omens for the future inside that cement his all-seeing nature. Don't think he's content to just sit back and watch, though. As in the postgame, it's implied that through a deal with the devil, he saved Armadillo's local xenophobic shopkeeper Herbert Moon from the sun wave of cholera that wiped out the rest of the town. Figuring out who or what exactly the strange man is would require a lot of speculation, but of gaming's cryptids, he's one of the standouts. He's almost like an old western ghost story, and Red Dead 2 even leans into that more. Who knows what will be hidden in GTA 6, whenever that comes out. The main hook of Persona 2 is that rumors are becoming reality. Of course, no rumor can fully become true before being spread first. Enter the Kuzunoha Detective Agency. For a small fee, Todoroki will take the rumor of your choice and spread it among the populace. Everything from changing the inventory of shops to making unique enemies appear. But like with everything else in the game, things are far more than they appear to be. As it turns out, Todoroki was possessed the entire time. Sometime before the present day, he was possessed by Kyoji Kuzunoha, a major character from Devil Summoner. He turned Todoroki into the spiritual detective that he is. For some context, Kyoji died early on and spent the rest of the game either possessing people or hanging out in the astral plane. And let's just say none of his possessions were consensual.
No means yes.
Which really makes you wonder about any potential family Todoroki has. And the creepiest part, this never gets resolved. Even in the new universe of Eternal Punishment, nothing changes with Todoroki and Kuzunoha, and it's never been addressed since. Still not as effed up as that one bit where you can kill a shopkeeper via a rumor. The 5 Persona 2 fans in my audience will know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I guess that's art, that's garbage, and that's exotic.
So, only cans. This is a game where you take pictures of cans of cheese soda and they really enjoy it.
Whoa, back it up there.
Yes, this absolute post of a game has hidden lore, and it's somehow more uncomfy than the noises these cans make. The way you piece together this lore is by focusing on the can descriptions. The stories these cans present reveal a different piece of the company's history, but put the can descriptions together in chronological order, and you'll uncover the chilling story of John Shees III. Shees III would become CEO of the company shortly after his first flavor, Blueberry Tart, took off. Not long after, his Jelly Bean flavor and Lemon Party flavor would help him to become buddy-buddy with high-ranking politicians and investors, forming a secret organization with them. A lemon party, if you will. Please, for the love of all that is holy, don't Google that. Unfortunately, John Shees III's life would fall apart after the tragic death of his son and his ejection from his own company after it was bought out by a Russian bootleg brand of cheese. With soda flavors only a YouTube taste tester would be masochistic enough to try, Shees III would spend the next decade studying the occult, befriending a high-powered Egyptian businessman, and partnering with a man named Ichiro Yori of CyberLife Industries to launch the Shees R&D facility. But this wasn't to conduct soda-based research. It was to create Project S, which would be funded by Shees III selling off Shees production facilities. What is Project S, you may ask? It's... oh...
Is that you, Father? Father, you've made me. The flesh and the can are one. I feel my insides fizz.
This is Shees Thirstborn, John Shees IV reincarnated as, quote, both can and human soul combined into one perfect organism. Okay, yeah, this just went from cans are sexy cause haha funny to actual body horror. Oh, but it gets more unsettling than that. The last line of Thirstborn's can description reads, "It was the first of many." So, all those other cans that were talking to you in the game. All human souls trapped in cans. The blueberry melon twist flavor in the hot and steaming DLC confirms this if you play the level the opposite way. Oh, and if you go through the game's files and type the word John into a file named narrator.txt, you get an audio file revealing that Shees III died trying to protect his son. But wait, if Shees III died after creating this prototype, who's putting all the other souls into the cans? Well, it's revealed in the cookies and cream can description that someone named Suzio Fishbark takes over as Shees CEO after Shees III's passing. And if you're wondering why that name sounds so weird... oh...
Did you know your name is an anagram?
What makes this lore so unbelievably creepy is that... well, look, it comes out of left field. The developer did not have to go through all this effort hiding a bone-chilling story behind can descriptions, a website's source code, the game's files, and even the game mechanics. But they did. It's enough to make you swear off drinking soda from a can again.
So what you're saying is that you don't think you can...
Shin Megami Tensei 2 famously ended with the protagonist Aleph facing off against the original Judeo-Christian god himself, Yahweh. Upon being defeated, Yahweh promises that he will return and that Aleph has committed the ultimate sin. Fast forward to the next game, Nocturne, which seemingly takes place in a new continuity. One of the first characters encountered is Hijiri, who bears a bit of a resemblance to Aleph. Yeah, probably just coincidence.
But it's not.
As it turns out, Hijiri is indeed the reincarnation of Aleph. Thanks to the aforementioned sin, he was cursed with immortality. No wonder he went completely insane. May you live forever. And then there's the matter of Kagetsuchi destroying the world so that it can be reborn. As it turns out, the Vortex world is far from the only one this has happened to. Billions of others are trapped in a constant cycle of destruction and recreation. In other words, everything that Aleph fought for in 2 has been rendered moot. Kinda makes the other endings really awkward knowing Kagetsuchi can just hit the reset button on everything. So there's still one big question remaining, however. Why was this explained only in a side quest? One of the cornerstones of horror is the idea that less is more. It's scarier when you don't have all the answers to something, when you're just left with something that just leads to questions upon questions. What did I stumble upon? What could it possibly mean? With so little, the mind tends to wander to dark places, and when it gets lost, it wanders to even darker and even darker places. Toby Fox, how we wish we could pick your brain apart because really, what is going on between those two ears. Between the No Mercy route's creepy meta undertones of breaking the game itself, and Deltarune's newest chapters calling into question if the protagonist even wants your help, these indie darlings have a trove of mysterious content that shatters the fourth wall beyond any recognition. And deepest of all, there's the one man who proves the void does indeed stare back. Dr. W.D. Gaster. Play through Undertale normally, and you won't get any indication he exists. But if you get lucky with fun values randomized each playthrough, you can find his followers that tell the tale of a brilliant scientist who fell into his own creation and was scattered across time and space, wiped from the very memory of the world. You have to go searching for breadcrumbs in the files to even find anything about him. You can find his theme in an experimentation log where he talks of darkness, shadows, and a mysterious two companions. Very rarely, if the fun values favor you, you can even find what we think is him, and he disappears before saying anything. Creepy stuff for sure, but Deltarune is where Gaster starts getting strangely relevant. When Deltarune was first revealed, Toby's Twitter went blank and he started speaking to the audience in a very familiar tone. Gaster presented Deltarune to us, and many of its UI elements and even central religion and prophecy that the characters follow feel like they were created by him. But Gaster himself? Outside of brief dialogue scenes, he's nowhere to be found. We don't know what his intentions are, how he's communicating with us, how far his influence goes. Nothing. We just know he finds our actions to be very interesting. And that unknown is what makes everything surrounding Gaster that much more creepy. He's been the subject of fan interpretation after fan interpretation, but since we have so little actual concrete information about him, it's hard to tell where Gaster begins and ends. But this is a doctor we've had an appointment set for 10 years now. Will the mystery be solved one day? Maybe. But I have a strong suspicion we're not gonna like the truth. Okay, next up is the Orc Breeding Pits from Tales of Majora. Let's see what we're working with here. Yep, no, we're not going to talk about that without getting demonetized. Well, more than we actually are, at least. So, in lieu of that... Yep, somehow that's easier to digest than the Orc Breeding Pit. Just trust me on this. Anyways, the Brood Mothers. Huge, grotesque female ghouls found in the Dragon Age series. Oh, what's that? You feel your stomach churning just looking at this thing? Oh, honey, their morning face is nothing compared to where they came from. Just to set the tone, Darkspawn, a race of tainted, corrupted beasts, cannot create spawn for themselves. So, how do they fix that whole repopulation thing? More corruption! Men who get tainted end up going mad and eventually die. For females, well, there's a lovely little poem about it.
First day they come and catch everyone. Second day, they beat us and eat some for meat. Third day, the men are all gnawed on again. Fourth day, we wait and fear for our fate. Fifth day they return and it's another girl's turn. Sixth day, her screams we hear in our dreams. Seventh day, she grew as in her mouth they spew. Eighth day, we hated as she is violated. Ninth day, she grins and devours her kin. Now she does feast as she's become the beast.
Yes, the poor captives are force-fed the essences of the Darkspawn, and yes, we don't know what spew actually means, so, use your imagination. They undergo a hideous, painful mutation, and those that survive the process, well, let's just say a grown mama's gotta eat, and when flesh is on the menu, anything is fair game, including the former lady's kin. Eventually, they grow into full-fledged brood mothers, mindless beasts whose only purpose is to give birth to more and more Darkspawn. Oh, and how we're introduced to the concept reaches new depths of horrific. A lone dwarf named Hespith tells us how her lover and leader Bronca had allowed one of her party members to be taken by the Darkspawn and mutated to use her kids as cannon fodder to retrieve a magical trinket. Meanwhile, all Hespith can do is mourn over everything that's happened, knowing that what happened to her friend will happen to her soon. So, Which is worse, being betrayed by someone you trusted with your life, or being forcibly transformed into a beastly baby pumping factory? Either way, it's clear to see that there are fates way worse than death.
You know, you could have asked for my consent before forcing me to see something so completely and utterly disgusting.
Pokedex entries, Pokemon. There's a lot. A lot. Just pick whatever one you find the creepiest.
No!
Void Termina, Kirby Star Allies. They spelt out the lore to us in music. No lyrics, just music. Impressive. Childhood's End, Borderlands 3. Turns out Angel really did kill her mother. The real twist is the game doing something correctly. The days have worn away, TF2. All the Funny Hat Simulator's endless fighting was by the administrator torturing a man for reasons she can't even remember. Think about that next time you all go friendly. Black Cyclops, Ace Attorney. It hides a secret buried deep in someone's subconscious. It can be broken, but do it the wrong way, and it can damage the person's psyche. So what Phoenix did to Kristoff was... oh. Ironically enough, number 1 is something that's also hidden in plain sight. So, remember when Valve made games? TF2, Portal, Left 4 Dead, Valve seemed to have the magic touch when it came to making revolutionary titles. And arguably the most revolutionary of them all is, of course, Half-Life 2. This game changed FPSs as a genre forever, with storytelling at the forefront. You know the story, of course. Gordon Freeman wakes up to an Earth occupied by alien invaders and joins the revolution to free humanity from its shackles. But have you ever really stopped to just take in what the Combine did to the planet? Well, you know how Valve has an eye for detail? Littered across all of Half-Life 2 is extensive world building that paints a horrific picture of just how low humanity has been brought down. There's just so much. Just when you think you've seen all of it, there's always some small detail that brings new horror to this dystopia. And some of this stuff is deviously hidden. Pay attention to the people you meet as you enter City 17, and you'll hear how the Combine are constantly moving people around, separating families and loved ones, and even drugging the water supply to tamper with people's memories. The people in food lines complain about starvation and mention how the civil protection agents are apparently fed better. But those officers have their own chatter you can listen to, and their lives aren't any better.
Anti-fatigue ration is now 3 milligrams. Reward notice. Protection team member. Your family cohesion is preserved. Reminder, memory replacement is the first step towards rank privileges. Mission failure will result in permanent off-world assignment.
The Combine basically has these people's families at gunpoint and keep them only barely conscious with anti-fatigue rations. The best option they give you is to become one of the Overwatch, which means forsaking anything that makes you human in order to become another extension of the Combine's will. And that's the thing about the Combine. They don't value anything about humans as individuals. They refer to putting down rebellions in medical terms like amputation, cauterization, and coagulation. Breen even says as much in his propaganda broadcasts. Unification and collaboration means that humanity should forget about Earth, forget about anything but serving the Combine. Oh, and that suppression field that makes human reproduction impossible? Well, stick around the playgrounds in City 17, and you'll get a grim reminder of this in the form of the ghostly laughter of children. A reminder that under the Combine, humanity is a dying race with nobody left to carry the torch. The extent at which Half-Life 2 goes to show that what collaboration truly means paints a picture of one of the darkest dystopias in gaming. It's a miracle people were able to fight back to the extent they did. Breen said it best. All it took was Gordon Freeman, the one free man, to topple the entire regime. Ugh. I'm Josh Scorcher, and I think I need to lie down and hug something. Pray I don't become the villain of my own story after all this.
Cut!